What if I told you 90% of traders don't lose money because they can't predict the market? They lose because they can't predict themselves. Let that sink in. It's not the chart, it's not the news, it's not the algorithm, it's you. Now picture this. You open your trading account and it's empty. Your life savings gone, your future evaporated, your family looking at you confused, broken, asking, "What happened?" That was Mark Douglas in 1982. Bankrupt, alone, standing in an empty house, no money, no job, Porsche repossessed, his identity shattered. But from that rock bottom, he uncovered something that would change trading forever. He realized the market doesn't destroy you. You destroy yourself with fear, ego, and illusion. And so he began to rebuild not a strategy, not a system, but a new way of seeing the market, a new way of seeing himself. This is not a video about indicators. This is not another secret strategy. This is the blueprint for mastering the one thing that truly matters in trading: your own mind. If you're ready to face the brutal truth, if you're ready to stop blaming the market and start mastering yourself, then let's begin. Trading looks easy, too easy. You sit in a chair, comfortable, no traffic, no meetings, no boss breathing down your neck. Just you, a screen, and a world of opportunity. Click a button, make money. Click again, maybe more. It feels like a dream, a shortcut to freedom, the easiest job in the world. But it's not. It's a trap. A psychological illusion so seductive, so convincing, it's ruined more lives than any market crash in history. Mark Douglas called it the most dangerous belief in trading. And he didn't read about it in a book. He lived it. In 1982, Douglas lost everything: his money, his career, his identity. But in the ashes of his collapse, he uncovered the real reason why traders fail. It's not strategy, it's not indicators, it's not even the market, it's mindset. Let's rewind. Douglas walked into the Merrill Lynch office at the Chicago Board of Trade, 38 account executives, all sharp, all successful. He asked one question: how many of your clients are making money? Silence. Not one profitable client. Not one. Hundreds of accounts, all gone within 4 months of opening. These weren't amateurs. They weren't clueless. They had access to market research, advanced tools, real-time data, but they all made the same fatal mistake. They believed the illusion that trading is easy money. So Douglas went deeper. He stepped onto the trading floor, one of the famous pits where fortunes rise and fall in seconds. Surely here he'd find the elite, the winners. Instead, he saw chaos. I watched one trader, Douglas said. He made $3,000 before 10 a.m. By noon, he'd lost it all, plus another $2,000. And he did it again the next day, and the next, and the next. It wasn't bad luck. It was a pattern, predictable, destructive, psychological. This man wasn't trading the market. He was trading his emotions and losing. So why does this illusion exist? Because trading looks effortless. You don't break a sweat. You're not lifting heavy boxes. You're not answering phones or selling anything. You sit, you click, you profit, or so it seems. One trader told Douglas, "I made $50,000 in my pajamas last Tuesday. How hard can this be?" 6 months later, account blown, gone. Another statistic. Another trader destroyed by beliefs that had nothing to do with market reality. And here's the irony. The traits that make people successful in the real world are often the very traits that destroy them in the markets. Persistence, deadly if you hold a losing trade. Optimism, dangerous when the market turns against you. Confidence, fatal when it morphs into overconfidence. Hard work, useless if it's driven by revenge or fear. In life, we're taught never give up, trust your gut, work harder and you'll win. But in trading, those beliefs can bankrupt you, because in this game, success demands detachment, not intensity, not emotion, not passion. Here's the truth. The market is not a friend, not an enemy, not a teacher. It doesn't care. It's a mirror, a reflection of your internal state. It reveals what you fear, what you crave, what you don't yet accept about yourself. That's why trading is so brutally honest, because every decision you make leaves a footprint in your P&L. You can't hide in trading, not behind charm, not behind status, not behind intellect. So the question is, why do so many smart people walk straight into this trap? Because they confuse simplicity with ease. Trading is simple: buy low, sell high, or sell high, buy low. But it's not easy because your emotions don't follow logic. They follow fear, they follow greed, they follow survival instincts that are hardwired into your nervous system. And unless you learn to override them, they'll override you. The illusion is powerful. It whispers, you're one click away from freedom. You can be rich in weeks. Look at that guy on YouTube. If he can do it, why not you? But here's the truth bomb. Every trade is a psychological test. And if you walk in with the wrong mindset, with unrealistic expectations, with untrained emotional control, you're not trading, you're gambling. Let me leave you with this. If trading feels too easy, if it feels like a fast path to success, if it feels like you're smarter than the market, stop, because the illusion has already taken hold. And the deeper you go in that mindset, the harder it will be to pull yourself out before the damage is done. Trading will humble you, eventually. The only question is, will you wake up before the pain or after it? Every trader thinks they're ready until the market proves otherwise. Mark Douglas discovered that every trader, regardless of background, intelligence, or capital, must go through 5 psychological stages. It's not optional, it's evolution. And just like a caterpillar must shed its skin before becoming a butterfly, you must shed every illusion, every ego-driven belief, and every false expectation before becoming a trader who lasts. So, which stage are you in? Let's find out. Stage 1, the innocent. This is where it all begins. You see someone on social media making 6 figures. You watch a flashy YouTube video promising a Lamborghini by year's end. You hear a friend say, I made $2,000 in one day. It looks easy. It looks exciting. It looks like the life you've been waiting for. So you open an account, download a few indicators, watch some free videos, and then your first trade. A small win, maybe 2. Suddenly you're hooked. The dopamine rush hits hard. It feels like you've cracked the code. You do the math. If I make $200 a day, that's $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month, $48,000 a year from home. So you quit your job, or worse, you double down. But then it all goes wrong. You take a loss, then another, and suddenly the account's bleeding. You don't understand. The setup looked perfect. But here's the truth. In this stage, your confidence comes from ignorance, not skill. You don't know the rules yet. You don't even know that you don't know. You're walking into a storm in a swimsuit. Stage 2. This is where reality slaps you in the face. The losses pile up. The strategy that worked last week suddenly stops working. You change indicators, add more screens, watch more videos. Nothing helps. Your emotions spiral. You feel like the market is against you, like it's personal. You find yourself whispering, why does it always go the other way after I enter? Is someone watching me? Paranoia sets in, and with it, blame. You blame the broker, you blame the spreads, you blame the algos, the news, the manipulation, anything but yourself. But deep down, you're starting to realize a horrifying truth. I have no idea what I'm doing. Some traders quit here. They say it's rigged. They walk away bitter, broke, and confused. But if you're brave enough to stay, you move to the next stage. Stage 3, the seeker. Now you're determined. You're not quitting. You just need answers. So you go searching and you go deep. You buy courses, join communities, watch interviews. You try everything: scalping, swing, options, forex, crypto, prop firms. Your charts start looking like NASA. RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci levels, supply-demand zones, all on one screen. You collect strategies like trophies. But your account, still stuck. Why? Because you're doing what almost everyone does here. You're searching outside for a solution that lives inside. You think if you just find the right system, the perfect guru, the hidden method, you'll finally win. But what you don't realize is no system will ever work for a trader whose mind is out of alignment. You can't execute consistently when you're emotionally reactive. You can't hold your edge when you don't know yourself. This stage can last years, even decades. It feels like progress, but it's a loop. Until one day something breaks. Not your account, you. And that's when the real journey begins. Stage 4, the breakthrough. This stage doesn't come easy. It often starts with total defeat. Maybe you blow your third account. Maybe you lose your job. Maybe you just hit that emotional rock bottom and whisper, I can't keep doing this. And for the first time, you stop blaming the market. You stop searching for the magic bullet. And you look inward. You begin to see that the enemy isn't the chart, it's the fear that makes you hesitate, it's the greed that makes you overtrade, it's the ego that refuses to accept a loss. You begin journaling, tracking emotions, studying your own behavior. You remove indicators, you simplify, you send one setup, you find one, you stick to it. Not perfectly, but better. Slowly, you stop chasing outcomes and start following process. You start to heal, you start to trust. And with that trust comes something rare: clarity. Stage 5, the master. Few reach this stage. Even fewer stay here. Because this isn't about strategy anymore. This is about identity. The master has stopped trying to beat the market. They've stopped trying to control it. They flow with it, like water. They've internalized one truth: the market doesn't owe me anything. I trade with discipline. I trust the math. I accept whatever outcome comes because I trust myself. Losses don't sting anymore. Wins don't excite. They just are. The master doesn't need to trade. They choose to. And their execution? Flawless. No hesitation, no second guessing, no drama. They're not trying to prove anything. They're not seeking revenge. They're not gambling. They're just present. And that's the final transformation. So where are you right now? Still innocent, dreaming of quick riches, awakening and starting to question everything, seeking and drowning in information overload, breaking through and finally turning inward, or mastering and walking the narrow path with clarity. Be honest, because your answer could determine everything about your future in this game. The market won't tell you what stage you're in. It will just keep showing you the consequences of staying stuck, and only you can choose to evolve. Fear doesn't just hurt your trading, it sabotages it from the shadows. It's silent, invisible, but always watching, always waiting for your weakest moment. And when it strikes, you'll do the very thing you swore you'd never do. Ask any trader about their worst trade. It wasn't a bad setup, it wasn't poor analysis, it was fear in disguise. You enter a trade confident, setup looks clean, then the price moves one tick against you. No big deal. You breathe, then 2 ticks, then 5, then 8. And suddenly, your heart tightens, your breathing shallows, you freeze, your brain screams, "Get out!" But your hands won't move. You whisper to yourself, "It's just a pullback. It'll come back. Just wait." But it doesn't. It drops further. You're now deep in the red. You beg the market, "Just get me back to break even. I'll close it, I promise." You watch helplessly, the loss grows, then finally at max pain, you panic sell. And the moment you do, the market reverses. Sound familiar? Mark Douglas watched this happen hundreds of times, not with amateurs, but with seasoned professionals. And he discovered something revolutionary. Fear doesn't protect you from loss. It creates it. Fear hijacks your logic. It distorts your perception. It narrows your vision until you see only what you're afraid of. Afraid of loss? You'll ignore every sign of opportunity. Afraid of missing out? You'll jump in early and get burned. Afraid of being wrong? You'll hold a loser too long just to be right. But fear has deeper roots. Fear is not about the trade. It's about what the trade represents. For some, it's fear of losing money. For others, fear of judgment. For many, fear of failure. And it's not random. These fears are wired in your past. Maybe your parents struggled with money. Maybe you were told as a child, "We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Don't be greedy. You'll never be rich. People like us don't make it." Those words didn't just disappear. They became code, buried deep in your subconscious. And now as an adult, you're running that code every time you click buy. Mark Douglas told the story of James. Net worth, $8 million. Rolex, Armani suit, top floor corner office, but he couldn't hold a winner. Every time he was up $500, he'd close the trade. Fast. Why? Because in his mind, he could still hear his father's voice. "Who do you think you are? You're not better than us." To the market, James was a pro. To himself, he was still a scared 6-year-old in Detroit, trying not to disappoint dad. That's the hidden saboteur. That's what fear really is. Unresolved emotion plus market uncertainty, trading chaos. And here's the worst part. The market will keep testing that fear until you face it. Not avoid it, not suppress it. Face it. So how do you start? Start with awareness. Your body knows before your brain does. Think back to your last losing trade. Where did you feel it? Your chest, your gut, your throat, that physical signal. That's your early warning system. When you feel it next time, pause. Ask, is this trade really wrong, or am I reacting out of fear? Because once fear takes the wheel, you're no longer trading, you're surviving. And in survival mode, you can't win. Here's the neuroscience. When you perceive a threat, even just price moving against you, your amygdala activates. That's your brain's ancient alarm system. It shuts down the prefrontal cortex, your logic center. Your IQ literally drops. You become reactive. emotional, blind. It's not your fault, it's biology, but it's your responsibility to master it. Mark Douglas didn't say you should be fearless, he said you should be self-aware. Fear is part of trading, but when you recognize it, label it, and stay present, you take back control. You see the fear, but you don't become the fear. And that's the beginning of freedom. Let's be brutally honest. How many times have you closed a winning trade too early because you were afraid it would reverse, refused to close a loser because you didn't want to admit you were wrong, watched a perfect setup but didn't enter because of what happened last time? Those aren't strategy errors, they're fear patterns. And like all patterns, they repeat unless you intervene. Here's a powerful exercise Douglas gave his students. Before your next trade, ask yourself, what am I afraid of right now? Name it. Write it down. Don't hide it. Then ask, if that fear came true, could I handle it? Because guess what? You've survived every loss so far. You're still here. The real damage isn't the loss, it's the story you tell yourself about the loss. Final truth, fear isn't your enemy, it's your signal. It shows you where your next breakthrough lies, where you still need to heal, where your ego still grips too tightly. The best traders aren't fearless, they're honest. They've made peace with uncertainty. They've accepted that losing is part of winning, and they've learned to act not from fear, but from clarity. So next time fear creeps in, don't run. Listen, it has something to teach you. What if I told you you could be wrong 65% of the time and still become a millionaire trader? What if you could lose more trades than you win and still come out on top? Sound impossible? That's because you've been trained, conditioned to believe that success is about being right. In school, you pass the test by giving the right answer. In business, you're rewarded for making the right call. In life, being right earns you status, praise, respect. But in trading, being right means nothing. Mark Douglas said it best. You can be right and lose money. You can be wrong and make money because the market doesn't reward correctness. It rewards consistency within an edge. The difference between amateur and professional thinking, the amateur says, this trade has to work. Look at all these confirmations. I can't afford another loss. The market owes me a win. The professional says, this setup has a 60% probability of success based on 500 similar trades. I'll risk 100 to make 3%. If it works, great. If not, next. The amateur trades to be right. The pro trades to execute their edge. Let me break it down. Trader A has an 80% win rate. Sounds impressive, right? But their average win is $100 and their average loss is $500. Let's do the math. 80 wins x $100 is $8,000. 20 losses x $500, $10,000. Net result, $2,000. Despite being right 80% of the time, Trader A loses money. Now meet Trader B. Only a 35% win rate, but their average win is $1,000. Their average loss, just $200. 35 wins, $1,000 is $35,000. 65 losses, $213,000. Net result, plus $22,000. Wrong more than half the time and still profitable. This is probability thinking, and it's what separates the gamblers from the masters. You see, most traders are obsessed with prediction. They want to know what will happen. They want certainty. They chase that one strategy, that one setup, that one guru who seems to have it all figured out. But the truth, there is no certainty in the market, ever. Every trade is a unique event. The same pattern can work today and fail tomorrow. The difference isn't the market, it's randomness, chaos, uncertainty. And if you can't accept that, you'll never be able to trade freely. Think about a casino. A professional trader once told Douglas, I don't think of myself as a trader. I think of myself as a casino. Each trade is a customer walking through my doors. Some win, most lose. But in the long run, I always come out ahead. He wasn't being cocky. He was being mathematical. He knew his edge. Over 1,000 trades, his system had a 35% win rate. He didn't care about any single trade. He cared about the distribution over time. That's how pros think, not will this trade win, but is this trade part of a statistically profitable system? Let's take it deeper. The market is a random distribution of outcomes. That means over any short sequence, 10, 20, even 50 trades, you might experience drawdowns, streaks, weirdness. But over 100, 200, 500 trades, your edge plays out. It's just like flipping a weighted coin. If heads wins you $2 and tails loses $1, you could flip tails 5 times in a row. But over hundreds of flips, you'll profit because the odds are in your favor. That's trading. But here's the problem. Most traders never get to 100 clean executions. Why? Because they quit after 5 losses. They change the system after 3 red days. They start tweaking rules mid-trade. They trade bigger when they feel lucky and smaller when they feel scared. They sabotage the edge before it can express itself. Probability doesn't work if you don't let it breathe. So how do you fix it? Here's what Douglas taught. Detach from the outcome. Focus on the process. He had his students do one simple thing. For the next 20 trades, track only this. Did I follow my rules? Yes or no? Not did I make money, not was I right, just did I execute the plan? That shift changes everything. Because now you're not trading for dopamine. You're trading for data. You're building evidence, confidence, trust in yourself, in your system, in your edge. Let me ask you, are you obsessed with being right or with executing well? Do you panic after a few losses or zoom out and trust the long-term plan? Do you change your system every month or master one with discipline? Because the market isn't testing your intelligence, it's testing your emotional relationship with uncertainty. And if you keep failing that test, you'll keep repeating the cycle. Final truth, you don't need to be right to win. You need to think in probabilities, act consistently, and let the math do its job. The moment you let go of needing to know, you become free. And that freedom, that's where mastery begins. You can have the best trading system in the world, back-tested for years, perfect win rate, incredible risk reward, but if you can't trust yourself to execute it, it's worthless. And that's the brutal truth most traders ignore. You don't have a strategy problem. You have a self-trust problem. Mark Douglas called it the most overlooked edge in trading, the ability to follow your rules, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He discovered this not from a book, but from his own pain. After losing everything in 1982, his money, his confidence, his sense of self, he had nothing left to lose. And that's when something extraordinary happened. For the first time in his life, he saw the market clearly, not as a battlefield, not as a villain, but as a mirror. It was like someone took the blinders off, he said. Patterns popped out, opportunities became obvious. The market hadn't changed, I had. But even clarity wasn't enough, because knowing isn't doing, understanding isn't execution. So Douglas made a decision. He would rebuild himself, one rule at a time. His first rule, I will place my stop loss immediately after entering a trade. That's it. Not where to place it, not how wide the range, just place it. Simple, but not easy. Day 1, he forgot twice, remembered 3 times. Day 2, forgot once, remembered 4 times. Day 3, perfect, but tempted to move it. Day 4, temptation stronger. Hand hovered over the mouse, he walked away, came back, stopped still in place. By the end of week 1, it became habit, like putting on a seatbelt. No hesitation, no debate, automatic. Then he added rule 2, I will only trade one setup pattern. No chasing, no guessing, no exceptions. And again, 1 week, full focus, perfect execution. Then rule 3, then rule 4. Each time his self-trust grew, not because he was winning, but because he was keeping promises to himself. The more I kept my rules, he said, the more powerful I felt, not over the market, over myself. That's what most traders miss. You don't build self-trust by reading more. You build it by doing what you said you'd do. Every time you follow your rule, even when uncomfortable, you build strength. Every time you break it, even with a good excuse, you weaken that muscle. Think about this. When was the last time you said, just this once, I know it's not in my plan, but I feel good about it. The market looks different today. I'll skip the stop. I can manage it manually. How did that work out? Those aren't strategy decisions. Those are self-trust failures because deep down you knew better, but you didn't act on it. And that disconnect, that's what's costing you the most. Mark Douglas coached hundreds of traders, hedge funds, prop firms, floor traders. He noticed something strange. The traders with the most knowledge were often the ones who struggled the most, but the ones who followed their rules, even basic ones, crushed it, not because they were smarter, but because they were disciplined. They had what Douglas called internal alignment. Their thoughts matched their actions matched their rules matched their beliefs. That alignment is what creates flow. He told the story of Maria, a brilliant analyst. She could predict price moves with eerie accuracy. Her team called her the Oracle. But there was a problem. She couldn't take her own trades. She'd see the setup, call it out, watch others profit, but her own cursor, frozen. Sweaty palms, racing heart, paralyzed by fear. Why? Because she didn't trust herself to handle what might come next. A loss would feel like failure. A win would feel like pressure. It wasn't about the trade, it was about her relationship with herself. And here's the paradox. Most traders would rather lose following someone else's rules than win following their own. Why? Because when you follow someone else's plan, you don't have to take full responsibility. You can blame the guru, the signal, the market, but when you create the plan and break it, you're the only one to blame. That's heavy, but it's also empowering because once you own it, you can change it. So, how do you build self trust? Douglas gave his students a framework. One, start with one rule, make it simple, clear, binary. Example, always use a stop loss. Two, track it for 1 week, every day, no excuses. Three, log every slip, not to punish, but to understand what triggered it. Four, celebrate consistency, not profits, not wins. Execution. Five, layer gradually. Don't add more rules until the current one is automatic. Because here's the secret. Self-trust isn't confidence. It's not motivation. It's not hype. It's certainty that you will act in alignment with your values, no matter what. That's rare. That's powerful. And that's the real edge. Final thought. Your trading results are not just a reflection of your strategy. They're a mirror of your relationship with yourself. Want better results? Build better self-trust. Trust to follow your rules. Trust to stay out when it's not your edge. Trust to accept a loss and move on. Trust to act even when your emotions scream otherwise. Because the greatest discipline in trading isn't controlling the market, it's controlling yourself. There are moments in a trader's life that feel otherworldly. You're staring at the chart and suddenly it speaks to you, not in words, not in signals, but in something deeper, clearer. You click buy, not with hesitation, but with knowing. You manage the trade with calm precision, no fear, no greed, just flow. Every move is automatic, every decision effortless. Time slows down. That's not luck, that's not a hot streak. That's the zone. Mark Douglas called it the highest state of trading consciousness. It's when ego disappears, fear dissolves, doubt vanishes. You become fully immersed in the market. No noise, no distractions, just the rhythm of price, and you flowing with it. It's not mystical, it's not magic, it's neuroscience. When you're in the zone, your brain enters a state called alpha-theta dominance. This is where the analytical mind quiets and the intuitive mind awakens. You're no longer thinking, you're responding. And your response is perfectly aligned with your training, your system, your environment. It's like a jazz musician improvising flawlessly, or a martial artist reacting before the punch is thrown. The same trader who hesitated, second-guessed, and panicked becomes a master of calm, clarity, and precision. One trader told Douglas, "Sometimes I'm not even aware I'm trading. I just know what to do. Later I look back and everything I did was perfect." It's like the market and I were dancing in sync. Another said, "I wasn't thinking, I was seeing, like the price told me what it needed, and I gave it." That's not randomness, that's mastery. But here's the paradox. You can't force the zone. The more you chase it, the further it runs. Like trying to fall asleep. Effort kills it. The zone isn't something you get into. It's what remains when everything blocking it is removed. So the question becomes, what's blocking you? What's preventing you from reaching this state of flow? Here's what Douglas found. Unresolved fear, ego attachment to outcomes, overthinking and control. In short, you are the interference, the thoughts, the expectations, the pressure, the I have to win this trade, the what if I lose again, the this trade will fix everything, all of that pulls you out of presence, pulls you out of clarity, pulls you out of the zone. So how do you enter it? Mark Douglas laid out 3 conditions every trader must meet to access the zone. 1, complete acceptance of uncertainty. You're not trying to predict anymore. You've made peace with not knowing. Every trade is just a probability, nothing more. You're not trying to force outcomes. You're here to observe, respond, adapt. There's no need to be right, only to act when your edge appears. 2, absolute self-trust. You trust your system. You trust your preparation, and most importantly, you trust yourself to execute. There's no inner war, no should I or shouldn't I, no tug of war between logic and emotion. There's just action, clean, uncomplicated, precise. 3, present moment awareness. You're not in the past, regretting that missed trade. You're not in the future, worrying about your P&L. You're here, now. Every tick is fresh. Every candle is information. Nothing is supposed to happen. You're not attached to anything but the present signal. When these three align, something amazing happens. You stop trading the market. You start flowing with it, like a surfer riding a wave, not controlling the ocean, but dancing with it. You become water, shaping to the chart, the volatility, the energy, not fighting, just flowing. But let's be clear, you don't get here by accident. You don't stumble into the zone as a beginner. You earn it through hours of screen time, through broken accounts, through disciplined journaling, through years of self-correction. The zone is not a shortcut, it's a reward. Think of it like this. The amateur seeks the zone on day one. The professional builds the foundation patiently. And one day, when ego is quiet and clarity is loud, the zone finds them. Mark Douglas once described a trader he coached who reached this state often. His secret, a strict pre-trade routine. He'd meditate for 5 minutes, then review his trading plan. Visualize execution without emotion. By the time he opened the chart, his brain was already in flow. It's not about getting ready for the market, he told Douglas. It's about becoming available to the market. So ask yourself, do I accept uncertainty or am I still trying to be right? Do I trust myself or do I second guess every signal? Am I present or trading through the fog of past and future? Because the zone isn't something you activate with a button. It's something you allow when you stop interfering. Final truth, you already have the ability to trade in the zone. It's not outside you. It's not some elite skill reserved for geniuses. It's inside you, right now, but it's buried under noise, ego, fear, expectations, distractions. Clear that noise, and what's left? Flow, effortless action, perfect alignment, trading mastery. So stop chasing the zone. Start creating the conditions for it. And when it comes, don't celebrate. Just breathe and flow. Here's one of the most brutal, mind-bending truths in trading. The more you try to control the market, the more it controls you. Let that sink in. Because chances are, if you're struggling right now, it's not because you're not trying hard enough. It's because you're trying to control something. That can't be controlled. And the harder you try, the faster you fall. Mark Douglas called it the paradox of control. At first glance, it doesn't make sense. Aren't we supposed to manage risk? Aren't we supposed to analyze, prepare, protect? Yes. But here's the difference. There's a world of difference between controlling your risk and trying to control the outcome. Think about it. You analyze a trade, the setup is clean, all signals align. You enter, confident, prepared. Then price moves against you, just a few ticks, then a few more. And something inside you starts to panic. This wasn't supposed to happen. The setup was perfect. I just need to hold on. It has to come back. So you add to the position, double down, triple down, not because of edge, but because of need to be right, need to fix the trade, need to make the market obey your analysis. But the market doesn't care. It keeps rising or falling or chopping, completely indifferent to your hopes, your feelings, your account size. And then, boom, stop out, margin call, account wrecked. Later, you look at your journal. The entry reads, "This was a manipulated move. Market makers hunted my stop. The game is rigged. I'll get revenge tomorrow." That's not a trader talking. That's an ego gasping for air. Meanwhile, another trader, same setup, same market conditions, sees the same thing happening. Price moves against them. They calmly reassess. Buyers are stronger than expected. My thesis was wrong. Click. Exit. Small loss. No drama. No anger. No worry. They wait. Watch. The market reveals new behavior. They re-enter, this time in alignment, and they ride the move all the way to target. Same trade, same volatility, completely different outcomes. Why? Because one tried to control the market, the other controlled themselves. This is the paradox. The more you tighten your grip, the less clarity you have. The more you demand the market obey your plan, the less able you are to see what it's truly telling you. When you trade with control as your goal, you stop responding to reality and start reacting to expectation. Mark Douglas compared it to surfing. The ocean doesn't care how skilled you are. It doesn't care about your goals, your timing, or your technique. You can't make the wave do what you want. But a master surfer, they don't fight the wave. They study it, feel it, flow with it. They know they can't control the water, so they master their balance, their stance, their response. The ocean is not yours to command, Douglas said, but your posture is. Same with the market. You can't control price, but you can control your position size, your risk, your mindset, your discipline. That's your surfboard. That's your edge. Here's how the need to control sabotages your trading. You refuse to take a small loss and end up with a big one. You ignore new market information because it contradicts your bias. You overtrade, trying to force results. You revenge trade, trying to get back what the market took. But the market didn't take anything. You gave it in the name of control. Why do we do this? Because control feels safe. Humans crave certainty. We want to believe that with enough knowledge, skill, and effort, we can force success. But trading is not like life. It's not school. It's not a job. It's not a to-do list. It's an arena of uncertainty, of randomness, of probability. And the only thing you truly control is how you respond. Mark Douglas told traders, stop trying to be right. Start trying to be effective. It sounds simple, but it's everything. Being right feeds your ego. Being effective feeds your account. So here's the question. When you trade, are you reacting to the market or to your expectations? Are you responding to what's unfolding or trying to force what you want to happen? One leads to growth. The other leads to destruction. Here's a simple mantra to repeat before every trade. I don't need to control the market. I just need to control myself. Say it again, write it down, burn it into your brain, because that belief will save you when the trade moves against you. When the market does something unexpected, when your emotions scream for action, you'll remember your power lies not in prediction, but in preparation, not in control, but in response. Final truth, the market is the wind, unpredictable, powerful, untamed. You are the sail, and a skilled sailor doesn't curse the wind. He adjusts. He adapts, he survives, he thrives. So stop trying to bend the market to your will. Start bending your will to meet the market. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. There's a moment after the fear has faded, after the ego has softened, after the need to predict, control, and prove has died down. In that stillness, something else awakens. You start to feel the market, not guess, not hope, feel. You move to exit before the reversal. You enter just as the momentum builds, not because of a signal, but because of something deeper. That is intuition. Mark Douglas called it the highest edge a trader can develop. But don't confuse it with guessing. It's not a gut reaction. It's not a hunch. It's knowing without knowing how you know. It's pattern recognition that runs beneath consciousness. It's mastery without effort, like a grandmaster in chess, seeing 10 moves ahead without thinking. One trader told Douglas, I can't explain it. I just feel when something's wrong, like a bad note in a song. The market has a rhythm, and when it breaks, I hear it. Another said, it's like sensing a lie. The chart says one thing, but it doesn't feel true. And every time I ignore that feeling, I regret it. These aren't magical traders. They're not psychic. They're practiced, present, purely focused. They've earned their edge the hard way through years of repetition, reflection, and refinement. Douglas discovered that intuition only emerges after three conditions are met: deep pattern recognition, absence of fear, total presence. Let's break them down. 1. Deep pattern recognition. Your brain is a machine for spotting patterns. Every chart you study, every trade you log, every moment you pay full attention, you're wiring your subconscious. Eventually, those patterns stop needing analysis. They just appear. You feel them. 2. Absence of fear. Intuition is subtle, it whispers. Fear, on the other hand, screams. When you're anxious, desperate, revengeful, you can't hear intuition. The static is too loud. It's like trying to listen to a soft melody while standing next to a fire alarm. 3. Total presence. Intuition doesn't live in the past. It doesn't worry about the future. It only speaks now. You must be fully here. Eyes open, mind still, aware of what's unfolding without bias or expectation. Only then does intuition emerge, not as a command, but as a quiet nudge. Exit now. Don't touch this. This one's different. The pros act on that nudge without hesitation. The amateurs, they ignore it, second guess it, talk themselves out of it, and regret it. So how do you know if it's intuition or just emotion dressed in disguise? Douglas taught traders to distinguish them by how it feels. Here's the difference. Intuition: calm, quiet, neutral, detached. Emotion, loud, urgent, repetitive, fueled by fear or hope. If the feeling arises like a whisper and leaves without resistance, that's intuition. If it storms in like a voice yelling, "Do it now," that's fear or greed or hope. Douglas gave his students a simple practice. After each trading session, write down any hunches you had, whether you acted on them or not. Track what happened next. Over time, a pattern will emerge. You'll see the difference between emotional impulse and true inner signal. And that's where confidence grows. Not the fake confidence from being right, but the real confidence from knowing you can hear yourself and trust what you hear. But here's the catch: intuition only flows when you stop trying to force it. Just like the zone, you don't chase it, you create the conditions for it to appear. Let go of the noise, let go of the need to be right, let go of the performance pressure, and intuition will rise, not as a superpower, but as the natural result of deep, disciplined awareness. Final truth: intuition isn't a shortcut, it's a culmination. It's your brain and soul whispering what your eyes don't yet see, but your experience knows. And when you trust it fully, cleanly, without fear, you step into the rarest realm of trading mastery. You no longer just analyze the market, you understand it. Because in that moment, you and the market are speaking the same language. What if I told you the ultimate goal of trading isn't to win every trade, isn't to time every top or bottom, isn't even to master the market? The ultimate goal is to master yourself, to become the kind of trader the market can't shake, can't tempt, can't trap, can't break. Not because you're perfect, but because you're disciplined. Mark Douglas said it clearly: your success as a trader is determined not by the market, but by who you become in relation to it. Every candle, every fluctuation, every unexpected move is a test, not of your intelligence, but of your identity. Are you someone who sticks to the plan or someone who breaks under pressure? Are you someone who can handle uncertainty or someone who craves control? Are you someone who can take a loss and keep going? That's the game, and discipline is how you win it. But let's get one thing straight: discipline is not rigidity, it's not cold logic or robotic behavior. It's alignment between your rules and your actions. It's consistency, even when emotion flares. It's responsibility for every click, every decision, every consequence. Discipline is the bridge between knowledge and results. Because let's be honest, most traders already know what they should do: use stops, manage risk, avoid overtrading, stick to the plan, and yet they don't do it. Why? Because trading isn't just intellectual, it's emotional, psychological, personal, and without discipline, all your knowledge collapses under pressure. Mark Douglas saw this over and over. He'd ask traders, if you were guaranteed to follow your rules for 20 trades no matter what, would you be profitable? Most said yes. Then he asked, so why don't you? And the room would go silent because the truth was staring them in the face. They didn't lack edge, they lacked execution. Here's where it gets even deeper. Discipline doesn't just help you follow rules, and it rewires your identity. Every time you say no to impulse, every time you exit when you said you would, every time you journal honestly, even after a loss, you're not just being a better trader, you're becoming a stronger person, more focused, more grounded, more resilient. You're building an identity that says, I do what I say, I show up no matter how I feel. I don't need the market to cooperate, I only need to do my part. That kind of trader, unstoppable. Let's talk about slumps. Everyone hits them, even pros. You lose 3 trades in a row, then 5, then 7. Doubt creeps in, your system starts to feel broken, you question everything. But here's what separates elite traders. They don't, how do I avoid slumps? They ask, who do I become in a slump? Because they know discipline isn't tested on green days, it's forged in the red ones. So how do you become the disciplined trader, the one the market can't break? Here's what Douglas taught. 1. Define your rules in writing. If it's not written, it doesn't exist. Know exactly when you enter, where you place your stop, when you exit, how much you risk when you don't trade. Clarity is power. 2. Track every trade, not just the wins. Journal what you felt before entry, what happened during the trade, whether you followed your plan, what you learned. Your journal is your mirror. It shows you where you're disciplined and where you're delusional. 3. Reward execution, not outcome. Did you follow the plan? Did you control risk? Did you stay calm? If yes, you win. Even if the trade lost, Detach your worth from the result, attach it to the process. 4. Visualize chaos and your calm response. Don't just rehearse winning trades. Mentally walk through taking a clean stop loss, watching price reverse after your exit, missing a move, and not chasing it. This is emotional conditioning. Said it prepares you for the storms, not just the sunshine. 5. Identify as a disciplined trader. Your actions follow your identity. If you believe I'm impulsive, you'll act impulsively. Shift it. Say, I am a disciplined trader. I make decisions based on edge, not emotion. I trade with clarity, not chaos. And then prove it, one decision at a time. Final truth, you won't always be right. You won't always win. You won't always feel confident, but you can always choose discipline. And in a game ruled by uncertainty, that's the closest thing to control you'll ever have. Because while the market is unpredictable, your mindset doesn't have to be. And when the storm hits, the market won't break you because you are already anchored, already trained, already decided. You're no longer trading from emotion, you're trading from identity. You're not reacting. You've become the trader the market can't break. So now you know. This journey wasn't just about charts, it wasn't about systems, it wasn't even about trading. It was about you, your mind, your habits, your identity. The market didn't beat you, you beat yourself. But here's the good news. If the problem is you, then so is the solution. You now carry the most powerful tools Mark Douglas ever shared. Think in probabilities, not predictions. Trust yourself, even under pressure. Trade in the present, not the past. Respond to the market. Don't try to control it. Follow your process with ruthless discipline. And when the time is right, let your intuition guide you, because the greatest traders aren't those with the best strategy. They're the ones with the strongest mind, and that mind can be built. One trade, one rule, one moment of awareness at a time. If this video sparked something inside you, a realization, a wake-up call, a desire to level up, then hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this message matters. Subscribe for more content like this, deep dives into the psychology of elite traders. Not fluff, not hype, just truth. And drop a comment below. What was your biggest takeaway from Mark Douglas? What mindset shift are you committing to starting today? We read every comment, we respond, we grow together. And remember this, the disciplined trader is not born. The disciplined trader is forged. And if you're still watching, then that trader is already inside you. Time to set them free.